Tonight, protests erupt in Pakistan following the arrest of former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Khan blames the Pakistani military for his ouster from office. And China expels Canadian consul in a tit-for-tat move as the two nations enter into a fresh diplomatic row. We cover stories about Putin hailing Russian soldiers on Victory Day, Canada's funding to control gun and gang violence, and a Chile football club supporting the Palestinian cause. Assalamu alaikum, good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I am Catherine Bullock. Protests have erupted in several cities in Pakistan following the arrest of former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan. Khan was arrested today during a court appearance in the capital, Islamabad. The former cricketer turned politician has been charged in dozens of cases since he was ousted from office last year. His party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, or PTI, says the cases are politically motivated. Following Khan's arrest, PTI officials urged supporters to take to the streets. The police have warned that an order prohibiting gatherings of more than 4 people will be strictly enforced. It is not clear if Khan is being held at the Islamabad High Court or has been moved elsewhere. Islamabad police said in a tweet that Khan has been arrested in a graft case. Khan, for his part, believes the charges against him are politically motivated. He says the Pakistani military wants him assassinated. The military deny these claims. His arrest comes a day after the military warned him against making, quote, baseless accusations. Khan has been vocal about the involvement of the military, the present Pakistani government, and the US government in removing him from office last year. China says it is expelling Canada's consul in Shanghai. The news comes after Ottawa announced it was sending home a Chinese diplomat accused of trying to intimidate a Canadian lawmaker. There has been an outcry in Canada over allegations that Chinese intelligence had planned to target MP Michael Chong and his relatives in Hong Kong with sanctions. The MP had sponsored a motion condemning Beijing's conduct in East Turkestan as genocide. China calls the region Xinjiang. Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly said yesterday that a Chinese diplomat who allegedly played a role in the scheme would have to leave the country. The Chinese Foreign Ministry condemned the decision to expel the diplomat. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman urged Canada to stop, quote, unreasonable provocations. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has faced growing pressure after accusations surfaced that China tried to sway the federal elections in his favour. Relations between Beijing and Ottawa have been tense since Canada's arrest of a top Huawei executive in 2018. This led to the detention of 2 Canadian nationals in China in apparent retaliation. All 3 have been released, but relations between the 2 countries have remained tense. 2 brothers who were found guilty of an aggravated assault on a Mississauga Arab man have been sentenced to 6 years in prison today in a Brampton courthouse. The conviction includes 2 years in prison for assaulting a friend of the victim who tried to intervene during the attack. In July 2018, Mohammed Abu Marzouk was severely beaten while on his way back from a summer picnic with his family. Marzouk's wife recalls the 2 brothers started shouting racial slurs, calling them terrorists. When Marzouk got out of his car to talk to the brothers, one of them punched him in the face. They beat him brutally until he lost consciousness. Marzouk suffered multiple fractures to the face, along with brain hemorrhaging. The judge who charged the brothers back in January with aggravated assault, but not attempted murder, said the attack was anti-Arab, but not anti-Muslim. The judge said he was not satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that there was intent to kill. A funeral procession was held today for 13 Palestinians killed earlier in Israeli airstrikes on the Gaza Strip. 4 children and 4 women were among those killed in the Israeli attacks. The Israelis were targeting sites of the Islamic Jihad group. Today's attacks come following the death of a Palestinian hunger striker in an Israeli prison last week. At least 123 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli fire since the start of this year. 19 Israelis have also been killed in separate attacks during the same period. Please stay tuned. We will be back after a short break. President Vladimir Putin has vowed today that Russia will be victorious in Ukraine during a military parade on Red Square. At the celebration of the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany 78 years ago, Putin blamed Western countries for the current conflict. He compared the fighting to World War II. During his address, Putin told columns of military personnel in ceremonial uniform in Moscow that the country's future rests on Russian soldiers fighting in Ukraine. Putin has been isolated on the world stage since the launch of the Ukraine war, but leaders of several ex-Soviet states, including Armenia and Kazakhstan, joined him on Red Square for the parade. Meanwhile, in a symbolic retort to Moscow's Victory Day parade, EU chief Ursula von der Leyen met the Ukrainian president to mark Europe Day that celebrates peace and unity. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz told the European Parliament that Russia's show of force in Moscow would not intimidate the European Union. And in related news, the head of the Wagner Group is accusing a Russian unit of abandoning their positions near Bakhmut, the epicenter of the fighting in Ukraine. He made these remarks at the same time as Putin's speech at the military parade. He says the Russian soldiers fled, exposing the front. Wagner's chief repeated a vow he has made before, that if the Russian military does not supply more ammunition by tomorrow, his men will leave their positions at Bakhmut. Bakhmut is a destroyed industrial town in eastern Ukraine. Russian forces have little to show there after a winter offensive. Wagner is a Russian paramilitary group. It has been leading Russia's months-long assault of this town. Wagner's head also accuses Russia's top military brass of trying to deceive Putin on how the Ukraine campaign is being led. The sister of a Pakistani woman who is serving an 86-year sentence in a Texas prison in the United States has been granted a US visa so she can visit her. Dr. Aafia Siddiqui's sentence came after she was convicted by a federal court in New York in 2010 on attempted murder and other charges. During an Islamabad High Court hearing yesterday, her sister, Dr. Fawzia Siddiqui, told the judge that she and her US counsel Clive Stafford Smith will meet Aafia on May 29th for 3 days. Smith, who has represented many Guantanamo Bay prisoners, shared detailed accounts of the physical and mental torture endured by Aafia Siddiqui. Smith also presented the Islamabad High Court a private note on the next steps to Aafia's repatriation. He said all these efforts would require the government's backing for her successful repatriation. Canada has allocated $390 million over 5 years to help the provinces fight gang violence and reduce the number of crimes committed with firearms. A statement issued by the government yesterday says the funding will be used to support a variety of initiatives, including support for law enforcement and prevention programs. The government says it has a detailed plan that gets guns off the streets and resources into Canadian neighbourhoods. It says a central part of this initiative involves preventing violence from happening in the first place. In 2017, the government announced an initiative called Take Action Against Gun and Gang Violence. The new funding will work to enhance that initiative. According to data from Public Safety Canada, the number of gun-related homicides in Canada has been increasing in recent years. In 2020, there were 277 gun-related murders. This is 16 more than in 2019. A football club in Chile is supporting the Palestinian cause despite being thousands of miles away from the conflict in the Middle East. The club was created by Palestinian expats in 1920, nearly 30 years before the creation of the State of Israel. At the beginning of the 20th century, Christian Arabs from the towns of Bethlehem, Beit Jala, and Beit Sahur arrived in Chile and founded a South American community that today numbers around 500,000 people. It is the largest Palestinian community outside the Arab world. The football club is known as the Palestinian Sports Club, as the players don green, black, red, and white football attire, which are the colors of the Palestinian flag. On the left sleeve of the team's jersey is a map of Palestine as it was 75 years ago. Nicknamed Palestino, the club has songs dedicated to the Palestinian cause, such as Gaza resists, Palestine exists. 3 decades after the formation of the club, it made its professional debut. The team has won 2 national titles and once made it to the semi-finals in 1979. The club finances football schools for boys and girls in the Palestinian territories. Thank you for watching. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or go to our website, muslimnetwork.tv, to make a donation so that we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad.